The music hit first, deep bass echoing across the water. I stepped out on my porch, coffee in hand, and froze. A line of SUVs stretched down my private drive, their headlights cutting through the fog. Then came her voice. "Ben, open this gate right now!" Karen, HOA president, self-appointed queen of the lake, and, apparently, the event planner of the century. She stood there in a sparkling dress, waving her phone like a badge, with a crowd of people behind her carrying coolers and champagne. I set my mug down. "What's going on?" She scoffed. "Don't play dumb. The HOA has approved a lakeside charity party tonight. We'll be using the dock area." I frowned. "You mean my dock?" She smiled tight. "Community property, sweetheart. The bylaws say the lake is accessible to all residents." "Sure, from the public entrance, not through my private gate." That wiped the smile off her face. "You're seriously going to block a community event? 50 people are coming." "Then I guess you'd better start calling Ubers," I said, turning back toward the cabin. Her heels clicked hard on the gravel. "You can't do this! I'll fine you, Ben! You're violating HOA cooperation standards!" I stopped, half turning. "You might want to check your map before you start quoting rules. My property line ends 20 feet into the water. HOA doesn't own an inch of it." The crowd started murmuring. One guy whispered, "Wait, this isn't community land?" Karen's jaw tightened. "Of course it is. He's lying." I smiled. "Then why don't we call the county office and find out?" Her voice rose an octave. "I am the county office!" That actually made a few people laugh. She snapped at them, flustered, then whipped out her phone. "Fine, I'll call the police and report your obstruction." "Please do. I'd like them to see this trespassing party you're planning." She glared, but hit dial anyway. 10 minutes later, a patrol car rolled up. The officer stepped out, hand on his belt, looking confused at the crowd of people and their champagne buckets. "What seems to be the problem?" Karen pounced. "This man is blocking a public event on HOA property." The officer turned to me. "Sir?" I handed him a folded document. "Deed, plot map, and lake rights. The HOA line stops a quarter-mile back. She's been trespassing." He read it, then looked up at Karen. "Ma'am, this property isn't part of your HOA jurisdiction." Her mouth fell open. "That's impossible." "It's not," he said. "You need to move your party off his property now." For a second, she just stood there, blinking. Then she turned on me, face red. "You think you've won? You're making enemies here, Ben." I nodded toward her 50 guests, who were now awkwardly shuffling back toward their cars. "Looks like I already did." She pointed at me like she wanted to say more, but the officer cut her off. "Ma'am, if you don't leave, you'll be cited for trespassing." That shut her up. She stormed off, heels sinking in the mud, muttering something about lawyers. As the last car disappeared up the road, the officer chuckled. "You get people like that a lot out here?" "Too many," I said. He tipped his hat. "Next time she calls, tell her the cops already RSVP'd." I laughed, but deep down, I knew it wasn't over. Because Karen didn't like losing, and people like her never stop until they learn the hard way who really owns the date. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of hammering. Not the kind that fixes things, the kind that starts trouble. When I stepped outside, Karen's husband, Greg, was at my gate with 2 guys in yellow vests, drilling a brand new HOA access notice sign right into my fence post. I walked over, still half asleep. "You might want to stop before I call the sheriff again." Greg didn't even look at me. Karen said this is official business. The HOA's reinstating the public walkway to the lake. "There is no public walkway through here," I said, pointing at the boundary markers I'd set months ago. "You're trespassing again." One of the workers hesitated. "Sir, we were just told to post the notice." "By who?" I asked. "Mrs. Holbrook. Said she runs the neighborhood." I smirked. "Yeah, she runs her mouth." Karen showed up a few minutes later in her golf cart, wearing big sunglasses and fake confidence. "Ben, you're making this harder than it needs to be. The board voted, this path stays open." "Funny," I said,
Because the county assessor's office emailed me last night. They confirmed what I told the officer yesterday. I held up my phone. Private property, not HOA land. You've got zero authority here. She scoffed, stepping out of the cart. You can't just block access to the lake. The community's been using it for years. Yeah, I said, because nobody ever told them the HOA was lying. Her voice dropped low. You think you can embarrass me like that and get away with it? You'll regret this. I crossed my arms. Already do. Should have put up a taller fence. Her lips twitched. You leave me no choice. She pulled out her phone, snapped photos of my property, and grinned. You'll be hearing from our legal department. I couldn't help but laugh. Your legal department? You mean your cousin Todd who sells used boats? Her face went red, but she turned back to her workers. Put the sign up anyway. That's when I hit record on my phone. Go ahead, I said loudly. Let's see how the sheriff likes a video of you vandalizing private property. The workers froze. One muttered, Ma'am, I'm not getting arrested for this. They packed their tools and backed away. Karen realized she was standing alone. You can't scare everyone forever, she shouted as I walked away. I don't need to, I said over my shoulder. Just you. But as I shut the cabin door, my phone buzzed. An email from the HOA board. It was a notice of violations. According to them, I owed $12,000 in fines for non-compliance, obstruction, and verbal misconduct. I stared at the screen and laughed once. Then I felt my jaw tighten. She'd just declared war, and she had no idea who she was up against.
That night, I sat at my old pine desk with a single lamp on, going through every page of that so-called notice of violations. It was a joke. Half of it copied and pasted from some HOA template online. But buried near the bottom was a signature that caught my eye. Karen Holbrook, Director of Enforcement. Funny thing, her name wasn't even on the list of registered officers with the county. I opened my laptop and pulled up the county database. 2 clicks later, there it was. HOA filings outdated by 6 years. Expired bylaws, and no valid incorporation license, meaning legally the HOA didn't even exist. Every fine, every rule, every threat, worthless. I leaned back, a slow grin forming. You're finished, Karen. The next morning, I called my buddy Nate, former county inspector, now working freelance. Need a favor, I said. Remember that HOA mess I told you about? Turns out it's not even legal. Can you pull their corporate records?